You take your pill every morning, but what you eat for breakfast may be canceling it out. A February 2026 global meta-analysis confirmed it. 7 specific foods consistently reduce blood pressure medication effectiveness in adults over 60. Not occasionally, consistently. Millions of seniors are doing everything right, taking their medication, watching their sodium, following doctor's orders, and still showing dangerously high readings. At least, that is what everyone thought was a mystery. It is not. The FDA, the American Heart Association, and the Mayo Clinic have all issued advisories confirming these food-drug interactions are real, measurable, and largely preventable. Uncontrolled hypertension, despite perfect compliance, is not bad luck. It is a hidden chemical war happening inside your body every single day. And the battlefield is your kitchen. Here is something most doctors do not have time to explain during a 10-minute appointment. Your body at 65 is not the same machine it was at 40, and that difference matters enormously when medication enters the picture. The changes are not dramatic. They do not announce themselves. They accumulate quietly over years, and by the time most people notice something is wrong, the disruption has already been running in the background for a very long time. The system is not broken. It is aging. And aging changes the rules of every chemical interaction happening inside it. Start with the liver. After 60, liver enzyme activity slows down significantly. The enzymes responsible for breaking down and processing medications, particularly a group called cytochrome P450 enzymes, become less efficient. Drugs that once moved through your system cleanly now linger. They build up, or they get blocked entirely by competing compounds from food. What used to be a smooth, predictable process becomes unpredictable. The same pill, the same dose, the same glass of water, but a completely different outcome depending on what you ate 2 hours earlier. Your doctor calculated your dose based on how a healthy liver processes medication. Your liver, at 65, may no longer be processing it that way. The calculation was correct once. It may not be correct anymore. Then there are the kidneys. Kidney filtration rate declines steadily with age. By the time most people reach their late 60s, filtration capacity may have dropped by 30% or more compared to their peak. That means medications are not being cleared from the bloodstream at the rate your doctor calculated when writing the prescription. The drug sits, it interacts, it gets disrupted. And because the decline is gradual, there is rarely a clear moment when anyone realizes the original dosage calculation no longer applies. The numbers on the prescription label were written for a body that no longer exists in quite the same form. Nobody updates the label when your kidneys slow down. That update never comes. Gut absorption changes too. The lining of the digestive tract becomes less efficient at separating beneficial compounds from disruptive ones. Certain food chemicals that would have passed through harmlessly at 35 now compete directly with drug uptake at 65. They bind to the same receptors. They crowd out the medication before it ever reaches your bloodstream at full strength. The drug is present, the dose is correct, but the delivery is compromised before it even begins. The medication never gets the clean runway it needs to work. It arrives at the gate and finds the path already blocked. And then there is the compounding problem. Most seniors over 60 are not taking one medication. They are managing 2, 3, sometimes 5 or more prescriptions simultaneously. Each additional drug adds another layer of potential interaction, not just with other drugs, but with food. The complexity multiplies fast. A single breakfast can create a cascade of competing chemical signals that no single prescription was designed to navigate alone. The pharmacist checks for drug-to-drug interactions. Almost nobody checks for drug-to-food interactions at the same level of rigor. That gap is where the damage lives. That gap is where people fall through. A Mayo Clinic analysis, published in April 2026, put a number on it. Drug performance drops by up to 40% in adults over 60 due to dietary factors alone. 40%. That is not a rounding error. That is the difference between controlled blood pressure and a silent, escalating crisis. And most people eating the foods on this list have no idea the damage is already underway. They feel fine. Their medication feels like it is working. The numbers on the cuff tell a different story. The cuff does not lie. The kitchen might be. How does someone go from drinking a glass of juice with breakfast to unknowingly disabling their heart medication for 3 days straight? It starts with a single enzyme most people have never heard of. The enzyme is called CYP3A4. It lives in your liver and your small intestine. Its job is critical. It processes and metabolizes a wide range of medications, including some of the most commonly prescribed blood pressure drugs in the world. Calcium channel blockers like amlodipine depend on CYP3A4 to be absorbed and regulated properly. Without it functioning at full capacity, the drug cannot do its job. Blood pressure stays elevated. The risk of stroke, heart attack, and organ damage climbs quietly in the background, and the person taking the medication has no way of knowing the protection they believe they have is not actually there. Now here is where grapefruit enters the picture. Grapefruit and grapefruit juice contains a class of chemical compounds called furanocoumarins. These compounds do not just slow down CYP3A4, they shut it down, they bind to the enzyme and block it from functioning, sometimes for an extended period. And the effect is not brief. Even a single glass of grapefruit juice can suppress CYP3A4 activity for up to 72 hours, 3 full days, from one glass. Read that again. One glass of grapefruit juice at Monday breakfast can still be interfering with your blood pressure medication on Wednesday night. Most people assume that food and drink clear the system within hours. With grapefruit and CYP3A4, that assumption is dangerously wrong. The juice is long gone, the enzyme is still blocked, the medication is still failing, and the person who drank that glass on Monday morning has no idea any of this is happening. They took their pill on Tuesday. They took it again on Wednesday. The enzyme that activates it has been chemically locked shut since Monday morning. The pill went down. The protection never came up. The American Heart Association updated its clinical guidance in June 2025 specifically to address this interaction. Their finding was direct and unambiguous. Grapefruit consumption renders amlodipine, one of the most widely prescribed calcium channel blockers in the United States, effectively ineffective in seniors. Not weakened. Ineffective. The medication is present in the body. It simply cannot be processed correctly. The enzyme that activates it has been chemically blocked by the fruit sitting on your breakfast table. The pill is real. The protection is an illusion. The FDA has not stayed quiet on this either. Formal consumer warnings about grapefruit and medication combinations have been on the FDA's advisory list for years. The warnings cover more than 80 medications across multiple drug classes: blood pressure drugs, cholesterol medications, immunosuppressants, anti-anxiety drugs. The list is long, and the warnings are not hypothetical. They are based on documented cases of medication failure and adverse events traced directly back to grapefruit consumption. Real patients, real hospitalizations, real consequences from a piece of fruit most people consider a health food. The fruit did not change. The understanding of what it does inside an aging body did. What makes this interaction particularly dangerous for adults over 60 is the compounding effect. A younger person with a fully functioning liver might experience some disruption from grapefruit. An older adult with already reduced CYP3A4 activity is starting from a compromised baseline. Add grapefruit on top of that, and the enzyme suppression is not just additive. It can be catastrophic for medication performance. The system that was already running at reduced capacity gets pushed below the threshold where the drug can function at all. The medication does not just underperform, it effectively stops working, and the body, receiving no cardiovascular protection, continues under pressure with no defense in place. And the volume of grapefruit consumed does not need to be large. Research has shown that even half a grapefruit or a small 4-ounce glass of juice is enough to trigger significant CYP3A4 inhibition. There is no safe small dose when it comes to this particular interaction. The chemistry does not negotiate. A quarter of a grapefruit at breakfast is not a compromise. It is still a problem. The enzyme does not distinguish between a small exposure and a large one. It responds to the compound, full stop. The body does not grade on a curve. The interaction does not stop at amlodipine. Other calcium channel blockers, felodipine, nisoldipine, nifedipine, are affected by the same mechanism. Some studies suggest the suppression effect on felodipine is even more pronounced than on amlodipine. Seniors taking any of these medications and consuming grapefruit regularly may have been living with significantly compromised cardiovascular protection for months or even years without knowing it. Their doctor adjusted the dose. The pharmacist refilled the prescription. Nobody asked about the grapefruit. Nobody thought to. The question was never on the intake form. What frustrates cardiologists and pharmacists most is how preventable this is. The fix is not complicated. It does not require a new prescription or a lifestyle overhaul. It requires a swap. Oranges carry no CYP3A4 interference. Neither do apples, berries, or most other common fruits. The nutritional profile of an orange is comparable to a grapefruit in many respects. The taste is different. The chemical impact on your medication is entirely different. One supports your treatment, the other quietly dismantles it. The swap takes 5 seconds to make at the grocery store. But first, you have to know the swap is necessary. And that is exactly the gap this information is designed to close. Your blood pressure medication had 72 hours before grapefruit rendered it useless. And the clock had already started. Now picture a kitchen on a quiet Tuesday morning. Natural light coming through the window. The kind of pale winter sun that makes everything look clean and still. A bowl of fruit sits on the counter, bananas, an apple, a few clementines. A 67-year-old man named Gerald reaches for a banana. He does this every day. He has done it for years. His doctor told him to eat well. Bananas feel like eating well. They feel like the right choice. They feel like the kind of thing a responsible person does when they are trying to take care of their heart. He peels it slowly, standing at the counter, still in his robe, the tile cool under his feet. He eats it in 4 deliberate bites. He washes it down with a glass of water and takes his pill. He does not sit down. He is already thinking about his morning walk, about the route he takes past the park, about whether the cold will ease up by 9. Gerald is on lisinopril, has been for 3 years. His blood pressure has been creeping upward lately. His doctor adjusted the dose twice. Nobody connected it to the fruit bowl. Here is what nobody told Gerald. ACE inhibitors like lisinopril already raise potassium levels as a side effect. That is built into how they work. The kidneys retain more potassium when you are on this class of drug. ARBs do the same thing. It is not a flaw, it is a known pharmacological consequence, but it creates a narrow margin, a margin that a daily banana can quietly erase. The banana itself is not the villain, the combination is. Potassium is essential. The heart needs it. The muscles need it. Nobody is saying potassium is the enemy. But Gerald's medication was already pushing his potassium levels toward the upper edge of normal. Every banana pushed it a little further. Every morning, a little further. The readings on his home monitor crept up in small, easy-to-dismiss increments. 1 point, 2 points. Nothing that felt like an emergency. Everything that was quietly becoming 1. He logged the numbers in a small green notebook he kept on the kitchen counter next to the fruit bowl. The trend was there in his own handwriting. He did not know what he was looking at. But Gerald was not done, not even close. He added spinach smoothies in January. He had read that spinach was good for blood pressure. He was right, in isolation. In combination with his medication, it was a different story entirely. He blended the spinach with banana. He added a splash of orange juice. He drank it every morning before his walk, standing at the kitchen sink, watching the neighbor's dog cross the frost-covered yard. He felt virtuous. He felt proactive. He felt like a man doing everything right. His potassium levels felt nothing of the sort. The condition is called hyperkalemia. Too much potassium in the blood. The heart muscle becomes irritable. The electrical signals that keep it beating in rhythm start to misfire. In mild cases, you feel fatigue, muscle weakness, a strange heaviness in the limbs that is easy to attribute to age, to a bad night's sleep, to not drinking enough water. Gerald noticed the heaviness in his legs during his walks. He slowed his pace along the park path. He stopped at the bench by the fountain more often than he used to. He assumed he was just getting older. In severe cases, the heart goes into arrhythmia. Gerald's cardiologist would later describe his EKG results from that February as, quote, concerning in ways that did not match his medication history. A Journal of Hypertension study published in March 2026 found that 68% of patients over 60 showed medication resistance linked to potassium overload, not toxicity, not overdose, just a slow, consistent accumulation that quietly neutralized what the medication was trying to do. The drug was present, the drug was active, but the potassium load was working against it at the cellular level, disrupting the very electrical environment the medication needed to function correctly. The medication was fighting a battle it had not been designed to fight, and it was losing that battle one morning, smoothie at a time. A separate UK study published in June 2024 identified bananas and spinach as the top 2 neutralizers of beta blockers in seniors. Not grapefruit, not alcohol, bananas and spinach. 2 foods that appear on virtually every heart-healthy eating list ever published. The irony is not subtle. The danger is not theoretical. Gerald's potassium levels were flagged at a routine blood draw in late February. His nephrologist pulled his diet history during a follow-up appointment that lasted 40 minutes, longer than any appointment Gerald could remember. The banana, the spinach smoothies, the avocado toast he had started making on weekends, thick slices of avocado on whole grain bread, eaten at the kitchen table with the radio on, 3 high-potassium foods, consumed daily on top of a medication that was already elevating his baseline. His doctor called it a perfect storm. Gerald called it breakfast. His lisinopril dose was reduced. His diet was restructured. Within 6 weeks, his EKG normalized. His blood pressure, paradoxically, improved. Less medication, better calibrated, outperformed more medication undermined by diet. The body, given the right conditions, responded. It just needed the interference removed first. Here is the nuance that matters. Not all potassium is dangerous. Not for everyone. The quantity consumed and the specific medication type determine the actual risk. A person on a calcium channel blocker faces a different equation than someone on an ACE inhibitor. A person eating 1 banana a week faces a different equation than someone eating 2 a day with spinach and avocado. The math is not universal, but it is always present, and it is always worth knowing. The potassium in Gerald's morning banana was a warning sign written in his own handwriting in a green notebook on his kitchen counter. Gerald saw the numbers every day, he just did not know what they meant. That gap between what patients know and what their medications require is exactly where these interactions live, quietly, consistently, for months before anyone notices. Now it is a Tuesday afternoon in a health food store in Portland, Oregon. The supplement aisle is long and brightly lit, the shelves packed tight with amber bottles and white labels and words designed to reassure: natural, supportive, wellness, restorative. A 71-year-old woman named Diane moves slowly down the aisle, reading labels with the careful attention of someone who takes her health seriously. She has been feeling tired. Her doctor mentioned stress. She stops in front of a bottle marked adrenal support. She picks it up. She tilts it toward the fluorescent light and reads the back panel with her reading glasses pushed up on her nose. The label lists licorice root as the primary ingredient. It mentions nothing about blood pressure, nothing about diuretics, nothing about the cardiovascular system at all. She puts it in her basket without hesitation. It feels like the responsible thing to do. It feels like self-care. She is on hydrochlorothiazide, has been for 4 years. Her blood pressure has been well controlled. She has no reason to suspect a problem. She has every reason to believe she is making a responsible, informed choice. Pay attention to this next detail because it explains everything. Licorice root contains a compound called glycyrrhizin. Glycyrrhizin causes the body to retain sodium and water. It does this by mimicking a hormone called aldosterone, which signals the kidneys to hold on to fluid rather than excrete it. Hydrochlorothiazide works by doing the exact opposite. It is a diuretic. Its entire mechanism is built around flushing excess fluid from the body to reduce blood pressure. Diane is now taking a medication designed to remove fluid and a supplement designed to retain it, simultaneously, every single day. The two are pulling in opposite directions inside her body, and neither label warned her that was happening. She is caught between them and does not know it. The FDA issued an advisory in February 2026 linking licorice root to uncontrolled hypertension in older adults on diuretics. The advisory noted that even small, regular amounts of glycyrrhizin accumulate over time. This is not an acute reaction. There is no dramatic moment, no sudden spike, no symptom that announces itself clearly enough to trigger alarm. It is a slow, invisible sabotage. The medication loses ground incrementally. The blood pressure climbs incrementally. The patient feels incrementally worse and has no idea why. Diane's blood pressure readings over the following 3 months told the story in numbers. January, 128/82. February, 134/87. March, 141/91. Her doctor increased her hydrochlorothiazide dose. The readings barely moved. The supplement was neutralizing the increase before it could take effect. The doctor ordered additional tests. Everything came back within normal range. The supplement was not on the list of things anyone thought to ask about. It was sitting on her bathroom shelf next to her multivitamin and her fish oil, looking completely harmless, looking like wellness. The hidden sources of glycyrrhizin are the real problem. Black licorice candy, certain herbal teas marketed for digestion or stress relief, supplements labeled adrenal support, adrenal fatigue, or cortisol balance, some throat lozenges, some chewing tobaccos. None of these products are required to carry warnings about interactions with diuretics or antihypertensives. If you are wondering how that is even legal, so is everyone else. Diane was consuming her adrenal support supplement every morning with her coffee and drinking a licorice root digestive tea every evening before bed. The mug warm in her hands, the ritual feeling like a small act of kindness toward herself. 2 exposures per day, neither labeled as a cardiovascular risk, neither flagged by her pharmacist, because she never mentioned them. Supplements exist in a separate mental category for most patients. They are not medications. They are wellness. The distinction, biochemically, does not exist. The body does not recognize the difference between a compound in a prescription bottle and the same compound in a herbal capsule. Chemistry is chemistry. The kidneys do not check the label before they respond. Her cardiologist ordered a full medication and supplement review in April after her blood pressure failed to respond to the dosage increase. The appointment lasted nearly an hour. Diane brought a handwritten list. She listed the supplement, she listed the tea, she listed everything she could think of, including the throat lozenges she had been using through a winter cold in February. The cardiologist recognized glycyrrhizin immediately. Diane was instructed to stop both the supplement and the tea that same day. Within 3 weeks, her blood pressure dropped 11 points. The hydrochlorothiazide, now unopposed, was doing its job again. The same dose that had appeared to fail was suddenly working, because the interference had been removed. The mechanism is straightforward once you understand it. Glycyrrhizin binds to the same receptors that aldosterone uses. The kidneys receive a signal to retain sodium. Sodium retains water. Water increases blood volume. Increased blood volume raises pressure. The diuretic pushes fluid out. The licorice pulls it back in. The body becomes a tug of war that the medication cannot win. And the patient in the middle of that tug of war has no idea the rope even exists. The accumulation effect is what makes this particularly dangerous for adults over 60. Kidney function declines with age. The body clears compounds more slowly. Glycyrrhizin that a younger person might process and excrete within 24 hours lingers longer in an older system. The dose that seems harmless on Monday has not fully cleared by Wednesday. By the end of the week, the accumulation is measurable. By the end of the month, it is clinically significant. By the end of 3 months, it looks exactly like medication failure. It is not medication failure. It is dietary interference that nobody thought to look for. The medication was never the problem. The shelf next to the bathroom sink was. Diane's cardiologist later noted that her case was not unusual. It was, in fact, representative of a pattern he had been seeing with increasing frequency since herbal supplements became mainstream wellness products. The patients were not reckless. They were informed consumers doing what they believed was right for their health. They read labels, they researched ingredients, they made deliberate choices. The information they had was simply incomplete, and the gap between what they knew and what their medications required was wide enough to let their blood pressure climb for 3 months undetected. 3 months of a medication failing silently while the patient believed it was working. 3 months of a woman standing at her kitchen counter every morning, doing everything she thought was right, while the thing undermining her sat in a bottle she had chosen herself. Everything Diane had built, the routine, the supplements, the careful daily ritual of taking care of herself, was working directly against her. And she had no idea until someone finally asked the right question. Now you know what is silently working against you. The grapefruit on your counter, the banana in your smoothie, the supplement on your wellness shelf. None of them look dangerous. That is exactly what makes them dangerous. The foods that undermine your medication do not announce themselves. They sit quietly in your kitchen, in your grocery basket, on your breakfast table, doing damage that takes months to show up in your numbers and years to fully understand. The gap between what patients know and what their prescriptions require is not a gap that closes on its own. It closes when someone hands you the information directly. Consider it handed.